Grüßt euch, Servus miteinander. Hi everybody, my name is Dieter Vanschura. I am the owner and manager of the Artelino company, and we sell Japanese prints in weekly online auctions. When you, let's say, a new collector for Japanese prints, there's something a little bit annoying. And this is the fact that you will encounter words that you've never heard before. Well, dealers in Japanese prints and collectors in Japanese prints who are experienced, they use quite a bunch of these words, which are usually taken from the Japanese language. But don't be desperate, you have artelino, and we publish nearly at a weekly rate videos about Japanese prints. And today I'm going to explain what Kuchi-e are. Well, this is an example for a Kuchi-e. It's a Japanese print, usually a woodblock print. Kuchi is the Japanese word for mouth, Kuchi, and e, or in English better pronounced as e, is the Japanese word for image or picture. But what are mouth pictures? Well, these were popular fold-out frontispieces for novels, which were inserted to magazines. The images were inserted to magazines or books. And that was popular from around 1895 to 1915. During the late 19th century, reading had become a habit also among common people, but most common people weren't able to read well. So publishers of books and magazines, they added a visual aid, and these were these good old woodblock prints as a visual aid to support a story, to get the message across, to concentrate the message of a book or a story in one image. At that time, the common people did not buy books and magazines. They rented them in bookstores because they were too expensive for them. And most of these clients were women. And most of these books and novels were what we call today soap opera stories, romantic stories, love stories. The most common publishers for these stories, books, was Bungei Kurabu. You may encounter this publisher very often in the descriptions of artelino. Let's talk a little bit about how these Kuchi-e were made. Well, most of them are original woodblock prints. They were made like the old woodblock prints of Utamaro or Hiroshige by cutting woodblocks, one for each color, and by pulling the prints from hand. There are also lithograph Kuchi-e, so read the descriptions well. Today I'm talking mostly about Kuchi-e made as woodblock prints, and these were usually well executed. Why? Because they had to support a product, a book or a magazine, and had to support the sales of this book or magazines. Kuchi-e are usually fold twice or three times. Why? They had to fit into the book or the magazines, and there are two typical sizes. One is 22 centimeters by 30 centimeters, the equivalent of 8.5 by 11.75 inches, and the another size, a little bit smaller, 14 by 20 centimeters, the equivalent of, I have to read now, 5.5 by 8 inches. Which artists made Kuchi-e? Nearly every printmaker. Why? This period towards the end of the 19th century until the early 20th century was a lousy period for Japanese printmakers because their all business of ukiyo-e, ukiyo-e is the Japanese word for woodblock prints, was largely replaced by photography or lithographs. So they were glad that was one of the few possibilities to make an income with these Kuchi-e. I want to mention only one name, Kyokata Kaburagi, but you find a long list of Kuchi-e printmaker in one of Artelino's articles. I don't have to tell you the URL now. When you want to read an article about a specific subject about Japanese prints by Artelino, just go to Google and type in Kuchi-e. You usually will always find us on the first page of Google. A few tips about collectors. Well, for quite some time until, well, let's say 20 years ago, Kuchi-e were not considered to be worth to be collected by serious collectors of ukiyo-e. But that changed when an authority on Japanese prints, a famous book writer, Helen Merritt, and her co-author, Nanako Yamada, they published a book, Woodblock Kuchi-e Prints. And today, this is a respected subject of collecting Japanese woodblock prints, Kuchi-e. They are usually inexpensive. They start, well, let's say $50 to $100, hardly much more. Sometimes if two bidders want to have the same, it could go higher to $200 maybe. And you can buy them in our weekly online auctions. And as I said before, we publish a video nearly every week. You can subscribe to our channel and you will be informed automatically about a new publication of a video about Japanese prints. For today, enough. Okay, thank you and have a good weekend. Bye.